Welcome to week 8 of Bible Studies for Life. We're continuing in the book of Genesis, talking about family again. Today, Abraham and Lot, just a little bit of their relationship that we're going to look at today. But excited about this. Before we do that, be sure and subscribe, like, comment, share with somebody else. If you want to tell us where you're watching from, appreciate that. Hit the thumbs up button. That always helps us with the algorithm. I don't understand that, but that's what it does. Okay, and then if you want to support us, go to give.exposedtochrist.com and you can support the work that we're doing financially. Appreciate that. All right, Genesis 13. Now Lot, okay, read all of Genesis 13. That will help you. Now Lot, who was traveling with Abram, also had flocks, herds, and tents. But the land was unable to support them as long as they stayed together, for they had so many possessions that they could not stay together. Okay, they get to this place where, look, we just got too much. We can't stay together, right? So many possessions, so many flocks, herds, and people. And it's just not going to support what we need, right? And there was quarreling between the herdsmen of Abram's livestock and the herdsmen of Lot's livestock. And at that time, the Canaanites and the Perizzites were living in the land. I mean, it was becoming a little bit chaotic. And there was a lot of just arguing and bickering that was taking place from the people that were working with the herds and fighting, I'm sure, over where they're going to be grazing and all this kind of stuff. And something had to change. So Abram said to Lot, "Please, let's not have quarreling between you and me, or between your herdsmen and my herdsmen, since we are relatives. Isn't the whole land before you? Separate from me. If you go to the left, I'll go to the right. If you go to the right, I'll go to the left." Okay, love this. Abram says, "I'm going to be the peacemaker." And the way he makes peace is, at first he says, let's not have quarreling between you and me, because he knows that's where it's going, right? If the herdsmen can't get along, ultimately we're going to be fighting with one another. And he says, I don't want that. He is acting preemptively. It's a wise word, right? To act preemptively. You see the trouble coming. Don't put your head in the sand and just say, Lord, please don't let it come. Don't let it. Look, you see it coming, and there's a way you can act to head it off. Head it off. Act preemptively. That's what he's getting ahead of the problem, right? Let's create a solution before this thing gets too bad. Let's see what's happening, and let's find a solution that will help us get out of this. So he says to him, here's the whole land, right? The whole land's in front of you. He says, you go left, I'll go right. You go right, I'll go left. He gives Lot the choice. Abram looks at all the land that the Lord has promised, and he says, wherever you want to go, Lot, you pick. This is not the same thing as, when you cut that last piece of cake and you're like, okay, you cut it in half and then I'll pick which piece I want. But it is to say, hey, you pick. Where do you want to go? All right? So Lot looked out and he saw that the entire plain, as far as Zoar, was well watered everywhere, like the Lord's garden, and like Eden. It looks like that, right? In the land of Egypt. It's before the Lord destroyed Sodom and Gomorrah, obviously, right? So he's looking at it and he sees this plain of the Jordan, and he loves it. So Lot chose the entire plain of the Jordan for himself. And then Lot journeyed eastward, and they separated from each other. So Lot looked around and he said, well, that looks like the place to go. And that's where he went. Now, the promise has come to Abram, not to Lot. Lot is the nephew, right? I mean, but the promise is to Abram, not to Lot. But Lot has made a choice of where he wants to go. And what he's picked, what he says is well-watered, right? It's like Eden, right? This is a beautiful place, like the land of Egypt, this side of this, place of fertile ground. This will be the place to go. So that's what he's chosen, right? Abram said, you pick what you want. All right, we kind of skipped, right? There's a little piece in between there. Read that. After Lot had separated from him, the Lord said to Abram, look from the place where you are. Look north and south, east and west, for I will give you and your offspring forever all the land that you see. I will make your offspring like the dust of the earth, so that if anyone could count the dust of the earth, and your offspring could be counted. Get up and walk around your land through its length and width, for I will give it to you. So Abram moved his tent and went to live near the oaks of Mamre at Hebron, where he built an altar to the Lord. Okay, I'm going to go back. Abram said to Lot, right, you go left, I'll go right. You go right, I'll go left. You pick, I'll take the other. And the Lord says to Abram, when they'd separated, okay, Lot's gone now, it's just Abram, right? He says, look from where you are. Look north, south, east, and west. You see that? You look all the way around. Take a big circle look, right? All of it. For I will give you and your offspring forever all the land. All. Not just the west or the east or the north or the south. Not to the right or the left. All. The Lord's promise was to Abram, I will give you all of this. You will have all of this land will be yours. Because the Lord had promised Abram this is what would happen to his descendants, right? I will make your offspring like the dust of the earth. Lot made his choice. And we know what happens to Lot and the choice. There were, by the time we see Lot, ultimately, he's in the city. He's not even in the fields anymore. He's moved into the city. Lot made his own life choices that hurt and destroyed his life in many ways. Certainly his family, right? But God's promise was to Abram. You take care of this, and so here's what I want you to see. One thing. Abram's trust was in the sovereignty of God. That I can let Lot pick whatever he wants because God has me. So I don't have to somehow manipulate the best, what I think is the best land. The Lord has me. The Lord's going to take care of me. But also, the Lord's promise is to Abram. And so God is going to fulfill his promise. And what he's telling Abram is, you don't need to worry about, did you get, gypped out of the best place? Did you get, somehow you didn't get the right spot? You should have influenced. No. The Lord's in control. He's sovereign over that. And the Lord's going to bless Abram, right? North, south, east, and west. I'm giving you all of this, right? I will make your offspring like the dust of the earth. If anybody could count all the dust of the earth, then they could count your offspring. Obviously, they can't do it. He says, get up and walk around the land through the length and the width, because I'm going to give it to you. So Abram moves his tent. Now, I think Abram moves to this place near Hebron, which is opposite of where Lot went, different direction, in respect of Lot. Right? I'm not gonna horn in on his area, but what he did is he built an altar. He built an altar to the Lord. Abram recognized where his family's future was. His family's future was in the Lord. It wasn't in picking the best land. And I think we need to remember that the future of our family is not in every decision that we make financially or whatever. The future of our family is in the hands of the Lord. So when we are confident in him and we are being led by him, then we know the Lord's going to lead us and he's going to take care of us. It doesn't mean it's going to be easy. It doesn't mean we're going to be right every time. It doesn't mean that we're never going to have any struggles. But what it means is that ultimately we trust in the Lord and his sovereignty over our lives. And the Lord's going to do what the Lord needs to do in me to carry out his will in my life. And the Lord's going to be faithful to that. Abram trusted the Lord. So this building the altar, Lord, this is yours. It's in your hands. You're going to have to do this. Maybe he looks at God, wish you wouldn't have chosen that. But the Lord said, no, don't worry about it. I got you. I got you taken care of. And ultimately, we would look at this and say, this is not just Abram's family. This is our current reality, right? Jesus, as the descendant of Abram, comes from this family that the Lord said, I'm going to bless, and you're going to have more descendants than there are grains of sand. All right, I hope that's helped. It's kind of an odd passage, okay? So sometimes you have odd passages that way, and we just work through them as best we can. Thanks for watching. Be sure and like, subscribe, share this with somebody else. Give us a comment. Tell us where you're watching from. We'll see you next time.